It is 9 o'clock at night. Your dog hears the crinkle of the bag before you have even opened the cabinet, and he is already sitting at your feet, tail sweeping the kitchen floor, doing that head tilt that works on you every single time. You hand him the treat. He takes it gently, the way he always does, and you feel like a good pet parent because you bought the expensive bag, the grain-free one, the one with the farm scene on the front and the words natural and wholesome printed over a picture of green peas and sweet potatoes. If that is your nightly routine, I want you to hear me clearly, and then I want you to let go of the guilt right now, because you did nothing wrong. You bought that bag because the pet food aisle told you it was the healthier choice. But since July of 2018, the FDA has been investigating a pattern that connects certain pea and lentil-heavy formulas to a serious heart condition in dogs called dilated cardiomyopathy. And by the spring of 2019, the agency had logged more than 500 reported cases. Most of the coverage focused on kibble. Almost nobody talked about the treats. And the treats are where this gets genuinely sneaky, because treats do not have to meet the same nutritional standard your dog's main food does. In the next 25 minutes, I am going to show you the 3 ingredient words to look for on your treat bag tonight. A 60-second breathing test you can do while your dog sleeps on the couch, the pantry swaps that cost almost nothing, the exact red flags that mean you drive to the emergency vet instead of waiting for morning, and the one question to ask your veterinarian that most pet parents have never heard of. And there is one detail in the ingredient panel, a single 2-word phrase that makes a treat look safer than it actually is. I will show you that trick later in this video, because the way that trick works is exactly why so many careful, loving owners miss it. Here is exactly what I am going to walk you through today. Promise number 1 is the label check, the 3 specific ingredient words, peas, lentils, and potatoes, and where they need to appear on the panel before you should pause, which takes about 90 seconds with the bag in your hand. Promise number 2 is the sleeping breathing count, the 60-second test veterinary cardiologists use, with the exact number, 30 breaths per minute, that separates normal from make a phone call. Promise number 3 is the pantry swap list, 5 treat alternatives already sitting in most American kitchens, including 2 that are naturally rich in taurine, the amino acid at the center of this whole investigation. Promise number 4 is the emergency list, the 4 signs that mean you skip the appointment book and go to the animal ER tonight. And promise number 5 is the taurine question, the specific blood test to ask your vet about, including the detail about how the sample is drawn that changes what the result actually means. I work as a small animal veterinarian, and most of my week is general practice, which means coughing dogs, itchy dogs, and worried owners at the exam table. My clinic sees somewhere around 40 patients a week, and over the last several years, the same conversation about diet and heart disease has moved from rare to routine. That is why we are having it today. I want to tell you about a dog I am going to call Cooper, a composite of cases like the ones my clinic and cardiology colleagues see, because his story is the pattern in miniature. Cooper is a 7-year-old golden retriever, 74 pounds, living with a couple named Rachel and Dan in a suburb outside Columbus, Ohio. Cooper was, by every visible measure, a healthy dog. Annual exams were clean, he swam at the lake every summer. Rachel did everything the internet told her to do, and in 2019, the internet told her that grain was filler, so she switched Cooper to a boutique grain-free kibble, and she stocked the treat drawer to match. Grain-free biscuits, grain-free jerky strips, grain-free dental chews, one every night after dinner. The treats alone ran her about $60 a month, and she paid it gladly because she believed she was buying him extra years. The first sign was small. On their usual 2-mile loop through the neighborhood, Cooper started stopping at the halfway bench. Not limping, not crying, just sitting down and looking at her. Rachel chalked it up to age, and honestly, most of us would have. 2 months later, she was breathing faster than usual while he slept, a quick, shallow rhythm instead of his old, slow snore. Then, one Saturday morning in the backyard, Cooper trotted after a ball, wobbled, and went down for about 4 seconds. He got up, shook off, and wagged like nothing happened. Rachel did not wait after that. Her regular vet heard a heart rhythm abnormality and referred them to a veterinary cardiologist, where an echocardiogram, an ultrasound of the heart, showed a heart that had stretched thin and weak, pumping at a fraction of its normal strength. Dilated cardiomyopathy. The echocardiogram cost about $650. The full workup, with the rhythm monitoring and blood panels, came to just under $1,400. The heart medications run Rachel roughly $110 a month, likely for the rest of Cooper's life. Here is the part that changed how Rachel saw that treat drawer. The cardiologist asked, before anything else, what Cooper ate. Not just his kibble, everything. And when Rachel listed the biscuits, the jerky, and the nightly dental chew, the cardiologist wrote down the ingredient panels of all three. Cooper's case fit a pattern that has been documented in golden retrievers specifically. A 2018 study out of the University of California, Davis, published in the journal PLOS1, looked at golden retrievers with taurine-deficient dilated cardiomyopathy and found that most of them had been eating legume-rich diets and that many of those dogs actually improved after a diet change and taurine supplementation. Cooper was one of the luckier ones. 6 months after his food and every one of his treats were switched, his follow-up echo showed measurable improvement. I am not telling you Cooper's story because it is unusual. I am telling you because Cooper's household looks like millions of American households. A loving owner, a premium grain-free bag, and a treat drawer nobody thought to question. And the treat drawer is the piece of this that almost no one is checking. So let me explain the mechanism, in plain language, because once you understand it, you can never unsee it on a label. The concern, in one sentence, is this. Certain diets and treats that are heavy in peas, lentils, chickpeas, and potatoes have been statistically associated with dilated cardiomyopathy in dogs, possibly through interference with taurine and related nutrients, and the FDA opened a formal investigation into that association in July of 2018. Some background. Dilated cardiomyopathy, DCM for short, is a disease where the heart muscle weakens and the chambers balloon outward, so each beat pushes less blood. For decades, veterinarians thought of it as mostly genetic, a disease of Dobermans, Great Danes, and a handful of other large breeds. What set off alarms in 2018 was cardiologists seeing DCM in breeds where it almost never appears, and noticing the same thing over and over in the diet history. Boutique, grain-free, legume-heavy formulas. The FDA announced its investigation that July, and by late April of 2019, it had received more than 500 reports of DCM in dogs. In June of 2019, the agency took the unusual step of publicly naming the 16 brands that appeared most often in those reports. A list you can still find on the FDA's own website. I want to be careful and honest with you here. The FDA has not declared a final cause, and this remains an association under study, not a settled verdict. But the pattern was strong enough for a federal agency to name names. And that almost never happens. The leading theory involves taurine, an amino acid that heart muscle depends on. Dogs normally build their own taurine from sulfur amino acids in their food, mostly from animal protein. When a formula replaces meat protein and grains with large amounts of pulses, that is the industry word for peas, lentils, and chickpeas, two things may happen. The raw materials for taurine may come up short, and compounds in legumes may interfere with how taurine is absorbed or held onto. The result, in some dogs, appears to be a slow, silent starving of the heart muscle over months to years. Not every dog on these diets gets sick, which is part of why this is so hard to study. But the dogs who do get sick often show no obvious sign until the disease is advanced. Now, the part almost none of the news coverage explained, and this is the first open loop I promised you. Your dog's main kibble is required to meet a standard set by AAFCO, the Association of American Feed Control Officials, and carry a complete and balanced statement, meaning it has been formulated or tested to cover every essential nutrient. Treats are exempt. Look at a treat bag tonight and you will find the phrase, "intended for intermittent or supplemental feeding only." Legally, a treat does not have to be balanced at all, so a household can be feeding a perfectly reasonable main diet, while the treat drawer quietly delivers a daily load of pea protein and lentil flour with no nutritional guardrails. And the general guidance most veterinarians give, that treats may make up to about 10% of daily calories, means that load is not trivial. For a 12-pound dog, 3 or 4 commercial treats can blow past 10% before dinner. And the second trick, the 2-word phrase I flagged in the opening: ingredient splitting. Ingredients are listed by weight, so a manufacturer can list peas, pea protein, pea fiber, and pea starch as 4 separate entries. Each one lands lower on the list. Chicken gets to sit at the top, and the label looks meat-forward. Add the 4 pea entries back together and, in some formulas, pea would arguably be the first ingredient. That is the trick. Pea protein and its cousins scattered down the panel so no single entry looks dominant. Cooper's Dental Chews listed chicken first, and then peas, pea protein, and lentil flour at positions 2, 3, and 5. Rachel read that label a dozen times and never saw it, because the label was engineered to be read exactly the way she read it. Cooper is one shape of this story. Let me show you 3 more, because this pattern does not care what breed sleeps on your couch. Duke is a 9-year-old Labrador Retriever, 82 pounds, who lives with a retired machinist named Marcus in Fort Worth, Texas. Duke never ate grain-free kibble a day in his life. Marcus fed a plain, grain-inclusive food from the grocery store, about $42 a bag. But Duke had a jerky habit. Every afternoon, 2 strips of grain-free chicken jerky, whose second and third ingredients were pea starch and pea protein, plus a large legume-based dental chew every night, about 160 calories of chews on top of an 1,100-calorie daily requirement. When Duke started coughing at night and slowing on the stairs, the workup at a Fort Worth specialty hospital came to about $1,500, and the diagnosis was early DCM. Duke is the case that matters for everyone who thinks this video is not about them because their kibble has grain in it. The main food was fine. The treats were carrying the risk. Roughly 15% of his daily calories every single day for 4 years. Sadie is a 4-year-old Cocker Spaniel in Portland, Oregon, 26 pounds, who belongs to a young nurse named Priya. Cocker Spaniels are one of the breeds with a documented history of taurine-related heart trouble, which is exactly why Sadie's case moved fast once someone connected the dots. Priya fed a boutique grain-free formula and matching pea flour training treats, And because Sadie was in weekly agility classes, training treats were constant, small, but 40 to 60 of them per session. The only symptom was that Sadie began refusing the A-frame, the obstacle that takes the most burst effort. No cough, no fainting, nothing dramatic. A trainer, not a vet, suggested a heart check. Sadie's echocardiogram showed early changes. Her whole blood taurine came back low, and on a changed diet plus taurine supplementation, her 6-month recheck was dramatically better. Sadie is the case that shows how quiet this disease can be, and how a dog can be young, small, and female, nothing like the classic big breed picture, and still be the one it finds. And then there is Bandit, because Bandit is the case that surprises people. Bandit is a 7-pound Chihuahua mix in Mesa, Arizona, owned by a retired schoolteacher named Carol, aged 68. Carol fed a high-quality main food, about a quarter cup twice a day, roughly 220 calories total. But Bandit got 3 small commercial treats a day, and each one was about 25 calories of lentil flour and pea protein. Do the math with me. 75 treat calories against a 220-calorie day is 34% of his diet, more than triple the 10% guideline, from just 3 little treats a small dog can swallow in 2 seconds each. When Bandit developed a heart murmur and exercise intolerance at his annual visit, the treat math was the first thing the vet corrected. Bandit is the case for every small dog household in America, because the smaller the dog, the faster the treat drawer takes over the diet, and almost nobody runs that percentage. 3 dogs, 3 states, 3 completely different pictures, one common thread running through the treat drawer. So now, let us get to what you actually do about it. Grab a notebook if you have one nearby, because this is the masterclass portion. 5 steps, in order of urgency, starting tonight. Step 1. Tonight, do the 90-second label check. Take every treat bag in your house, flip it over, and read the first 5 ingredients out loud. You are looking for 3 words: peas, lentils, and potatoes, and their aliases: pea protein, pea starch, pea fiber, pea flour, lentil flour, chickpeas, and potato flour. One of these appearing far down the list is not a crisis. What you are pausing on is any of them in the first 5 ingredients, or, and this is the ingredient splitting trick in action, the same base ingredient appearing 2 or more times under different names. Also find the feeding statement. If it says intermittent or supplemental feeding only, remember, that bag has no obligation to be balanced. This check costs nothing and takes less time than brewing coffee, and it is the single highest value 90 seconds in this entire video. Step 2. This week, do the 60-second sleeping breath count, and I would tell you to write this number down. Wait until your dog is fully asleep, not just resting with eyes open, actually asleep. Watch the rise and fall of the chest. 1 rise plus 1 fall equals 1 breath. Count for 30 seconds on your phone's timer and double it. Veterinary cardiologists widely use a sleeping rate under 30 breaths per minute as normal. If your dog is consistently over 30 across several counts on different days, that is a call your vet this week conversation. If the rate is over 40, or the belly is visibly heaving to move air, that is not a weight situation, and I will cover exactly what to do in step 4. Do this count once a week even for a healthy dog, because a rising trend, 22, then 26, then 31 over a couple of months, catches heart trouble earlier than almost any symptom you can see while your dog is awake. Step 3. Restock the treat drawer from your own kitchen. Here are 5 swaps, and I want you to notice the first 2 because they are the taurine story in reverse. First, plain cooked egg, scrambled with nothing added, cut into pea-sized pieces, animal protein rich in the sulfur amino acids dogs use to build taurine. Second, sardines packed in water, no salt added, one of the most naturally taurine-dense foods you can buy, about $1.50 a tin at any American grocery store. For a 50-pound dog, 1 sardine a few times a week is a reasonable treat. For a 10-pound dog, a third of one. Third, plain frozen green beans, straight from the freezer, crunchy, nearly calorie-free, and most dogs treat them like candy. Fourth, carrot coins. Fifth, plain cooked chicken breast, diced small, and kept in a container in the fridge. The world's most powerful training treat. 2 cautions, because honesty is the deal on this channel. Keep everything unseasoned, no onion, no garlic, no salt. Heavy broths, and if your dog has pancreatitis history, kidney disease, or is on a prescription diet, ask your vet before adding anything. Even these. Step 4. Learn the 4 emergency signs and put them somewhere you will see them, because this is the promise I refuse to soften. These 4 mean you go to the animal ER now, tonight, not Monday. 1. Collapse or fainting, even for 3 seconds, even if your dog pops up wagging like Cooper did. A fainting episode in a dog is never normal. 2. Labored breathing at rest, the belly pumping, the neck stretched out, the elbows held away from the body, or that sleeping count over 40. 3. Gums that look blue, gray, or muddy instead of bubblegum pink. Press a finger on the gum, and if the color takes more than about 2 seconds to return, go. 4. A night of restless pacing with a soft repeated cough and an inability to lie down comfortably, which can signal fluid backing up into the lungs. If you see any of these, call the nearest emergency vet while someone else drives. I promise you reassurance on this channel, but the reassurance is only worth something because I will always tell you when home care is over. And for these 4 signs, home care is over. Step 5. At your next vet visit, ask the taurine question. The exact phrasing to write down is this: given my dog's breed and diet history, should we run a whole blood taurine level? And is there any reason to consider an echocardiogram? Bring the treat bags or photos of the ingredient panels, because your vet cannot assess a diet she has not seen. If your dog is a golden retriever, cocker spaniel, Doberman, Great Dane, Boxer, or Newfoundland, or has eaten a legume-heavy diet for more than a year, that question moves from optional to genuinely worth asking. And one more thing that helps every dog in America. If your dog is ever diagnosed with diet-associated DCM, ask your vet to file a report through the FDA Safety Reporting Portal. Those 500-plus reports are the only reason any of us know about this pattern. The database only works if cases get reported. Before we close, there is one advanced detail that even a lot of general practice veterinarians have not caught up on, and it is the payoff of promise number 5. When taurine is measured, the sample type matters. Taurine can be measured in plasma, the liquid portion of blood, or in whole blood, and the two do not tell the same story. Plasma taurine swings with recent meals and handling of the sample, while whole blood taurine, which includes the taurine carried inside red blood cells, gives a more stable picture of the body's actual reserve. The UC Davis Golden Retriever work leaned on whole blood values for good reason. So if your vet runs taurine, it is fair and reasonable to ask, is this a whole blood taurine, and where is it being sent? Now the caveat, because every advanced move on this channel comes with one. A normal taurine level does not fully clear your dog. In the FDA's case series, a meaningful share of affected dogs had taurine levels in the normal range, which is why researchers suspect the mechanism may involve more than taurine alone. A normal result is genuinely good news. It is just not permission to ignore a rising breath count or a legume-heavy label. Use the test as one piece of the picture, never the whole picture. So if you take nothing else from the last 25 minutes, take this. Flip over the treat bag tonight and read the first 5 ingredients and count your dog's sleeping breaths this week, aiming to see a number under 30. Those 2 actions cost $0, take under 3 minutes combined, and they are the difference between catching a strained heart early, when dogs like Cooper and Sadie can measurably recover, and finding it the night the coughing starts. And hear me one more time on the guilt, because I know some of you are staring at a bag in your cabinet right now with a knot in your stomach. You bought that bag because you love your dog, and the marketing was built to earn your trust. You are not a bad pet parent. You are a pet parent who now knows more than the label wanted you to know. Everything in this video is education, not a diagnosis, and it will never replace the veterinarian who can actually put a stethoscope on your dog's chest. So please take these questions to them. That partnership is the whole point. On the next video, we are covering the at-home ear check, including the one smell coming from an ear that means infection is already established, and waiting will only make it more expensive to fix. If someone you love feeds their dog grain-free, a parent, a neighbor, the friend whose golden greets you at the door, send them this video today, because the label check takes 90 seconds, and they have almost certainly never been told to add up the peas. And if this video helped you protect your dog, hit the like button and subscribe, because every subscriber helps this reach one more worried pet parent who needs it. Your kitchen is your first clinic, and I will see you at the pantry.